what's happening around the world and what's happening here at home. A very good evening to you and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. And I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Before we get into your stories in detail, let's take a quick look at your headlines for tonight.
Is attempting to forcefully take control of the Sri Lankan school in Qatar. Director of People's Bank Kijana resigns. Sri Lanka suffers its 5th consecutive cricket loss. What was the motive to distribute 60 million rupees ahead of the SLC elections? Sri Lankan Prime Minister meets his Indian counterpart in New Delhi. Minister Chandimavira Kodi comments about Prime Minister's objective of visiting India.
According to residents of Qatar, the present Sri Lankan ambassador to Qatar, ASP Lienage, has caused many inconveniences to the operations of the Stafford Sri Lankan school in Doha. The most recent incident would be 2 teachers and the librarian of the school being expelled as per the orders of the ambassador.
The number of Sri Lankans residing in Qatar is nearly 130,000. Stafford Sri Lankan School in Doha is the only school in Qatar established for Sri Lankan students. There is no link between the Stafford Sri Lankan School in Doha and the Stafford International School in Colombo. Many residents of Qatar have complained that present Sri Lankan ambassador to Qatar, ASP Lienage, has caused many inconveniences to the staff of the Stafford Sri Lankan School.
After the ambassador was appointed, we saw a significant change to the school's money reserves, which once stood at more than 7 million rupees. He asked me to restructure the current board that would comprise of me and the ambassador only. I told him that this was not possible. He replied saying, "See what I will do." Subsequently, they came by force and took the school keys from me.
In this backdrop, the founder and chairman of the Doha school, Kumudu Fonseca, the board of directors and the school principal were removed from their respective positions and replaced with individuals appointed by ASP Lienage. It is evident that these actions are not fit for an ambassador representing our country.
I was kidnapped and directly taken to the Qatar embassy. The ambassador ASP Lienage threatened me in front of a large crowd. He threatened me and forced me to sign a letter of resignation. I did not sign that. The ambassador has taken control of the school by force.
The Sri Lankan ambassador has also expelled 2 teachers and the librarian of the school.
The reason for this is a rugby match that took place in Qatar. A group of Sri Lankans had hooted at the ambassador during this event. The ambassador harassed us both verbally and sexually. He ordered us to be removed from our positions. However, we do not accept our dismissals.
The dismissed teachers made several complaints to the police on the 14th of October, and Qatar police had taken the 2 teachers and the librarian into custody under the instructions of the ambassador. While one teacher was released on the 15th of October, the other teacher was released on the following day. The teachers and the librarian were also informed by the government of Qatar that their resident visa was cancelled by the government. Though many attempts were made to contact the ambassador ASP Lienage, these efforts were futile.
Ayubowan, obata suba dawasak karana kiyana siyalu de ituena dawasak.
What will be the future of the teachers who have faced injustice at the hands of ASP Lienage?
A former teacher of the school who has no experience is now the acting principal of the school. There is no proper management taking place. If the school is controlled by the embassy instead of the principal, I do not think the school can continue in the future.
Several issues arose in the recent past regarding the financial management of Sri Lanka Cricket. Now, in September, investigations were launched into an attempted financial fraud of USD 5.5 million for television rights due to Sri Lanka Cricket. The attempt was to deposit the money into an offshore account.
On the 2nd of May this year, the Executive Committee of Sri Lanka Cricket approved to distribute a whopping 64 million rupees to its clubs for the betterment of its functions. Surprisingly, approval was granted 2 days after the official tenure of the SLC Exco expired. In a backdrop where 19th May was set as the date to hold the SLC elections, it is suspicious that money was distributed to clubs which had the right to vote. However, the election has not been held up to date. The problem is about how the money was given. According to a document, the 12 clubs have been provided with 1 to 10 million rupees. Certain funds had been sent to the accounts of the sports clubs and certain funds had been sent to personal accounts. Another key factor is that 300,000 rupees has been donated to the Central Province Cricket Club for their Vesak program. The funds have been distributed to prominent cricket clubs and Sri Lanka Cricket should present facts to the public as to why certain funds have been directed to individuals when these clubs maintain accounts under their respective club name. A former sports minister accused Sri Lanka Cricket, which has an annual budget of 1 billion rupees, as one of the most corrupt institutions in the country. With all these facts being revealed, the Auditor General must conduct a complete audit on Sri Lanka Cricket. Once an audit is conducted, the details of fraud and corruption at SLC and why certain people act as if SLC is their own property will be revealed. Auditor General, this is for your attention.
Jehan Amaratunga, who is a member of the Board of Directors of the People's Bank, has handed over his letter of resignation. Secretary to the Board of Directors of the People's Bank, Senior Deputy General Manager Rohan Pathiranage, stated that Jehan Amaratunga has handed over his letter of resignation 2 days ago. The letter handed in by Jehan Amaratunga states that he has resigned with effect from the 31st of August. It was also reported that another member of the People's Bank Board, Krish Rajendran, has not extended his tenure. Currently, there are 6 board members serving at People's Bank. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Bank of Ceylon, Roland Pereira, says neither the President nor the Subject Minister has asked him or his board to resign in writing or orally. Roland Pereira said that he and his board will carry out their duties as usual until they are notified to resign. He added that he was ready to resign as soon as such a notice is made. Does the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Enterprise and Candy Development neglecting the orders of the President? Under Article 41 of the Constitution, the power to appoint and remove the Secretary is vested with the Executive President. If so, how does the Secretary not have sufficient powers to enforce the orders of the Executive President? Former Secretary to the Treasury, Dr. P.B. Jayasundara, was removed from his position due to an order of the High Court. However, with the power of the Constitution, he was reappointed to this position. Meanwhile, a senior official attached to the Board of Investment stated that the Chairman and the Board of Directors of the BOI have also handed over their letters of resignation to the President yesterday. Minister of National Integration, Reconciliation and Official Languages Mano Ganesan expressed these views at an event held in Kandy today.
ඒක ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ආණ්ඩුවනේ එතුමානේ පත් කරන්න ඇමතිවරුන් ජනාධිපති අයිතිය තියෙනවා වගකීමක් තියෙන වගේ වැරදි දිනන ඔයලා බලන්න එච්චරයි නේ කිරියල් ඇමතිතුමා ඉතින් ඇමතිවරයානේ ඒක ජනාධිපතිවරයානේ කෙසේ වුණත් අපේ මේ ගමන ඉස්සරහට යනවා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න එපා දික්කසතක් ඇති වෙයි කියලා.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption says that 32 people have been arrested within this year. The Director General of the Bribery Commission, President's Counsel Sarat Jamani, said that a manager of the Mahavir Development Authority was arrested for obtaining bribes in Valikanta yesterday.
The senior-most state officer who was arrested in the history of the Bribery Commission was former Presidential Chief of Staff Dr. I.K. Mahanama. Chairman of the State Timber Corporation, P. Disanayaka, Controller of Imports and Exports Control Department, Mahagamage Gamini, and Chairman of the National Livestock Development Board, Nathan Muthuvinagam, were also arrested for obtaining bribes. A high tendency of high-ranking officials obtaining bribes were reported this year. Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption also arrested state officials in a number of sectors, including senior governmental assessors, electrical engineers, government planners, police inspectors and principals.
The office complex of the Halpe Gram Niladhari office under the Dulapita Divisional Secretariat was declared open by the Minister of Home Affairs Vajirabe Vardhana today.
According to the Constitution, the state sector employees are appointed to carry out government policies. But when you read the papers are written based on the old Constitution. Government sector employees are there to implement government policies. The constitution do not say that the public sector officers should be independent. Look at what the 225 members of the parliament have done to the country. Therefore, government sector employees and the public must be very attentive. This is the reality of the country.
Minister of Public Enterprise and Kandy City Development Lakshman Kiryala was honoured with Shasana Mamaka Jana Prasadana from the Askari chapter of the Siam sect.
The event was held at the Askari Mahavihare in Kandy. The chief incumbent of the Askari chapter of the Siam sect, Venerable Varka Guru Sri Nyan Ratna Thera, chaired the ceremony together with the chief incumbents of the Askari and Malwatu chapters. President Maithripala Sirisena also participated in this ceremony, and this was the first occasion that a head of state has attended an honorary title event of the Askari chapter. The scroll of the Shasana Mamaka Jana Prasad honorary title was announced by the registrar of the Askari chapter, Venerable Dr. Madagama Dhammananda Thera. The Most Venerable Varka Guru Sri Nyan Ratna Thera presented the scroll to Minister Lakshman Kiryala.
President Scout Award 2014 to 2018 ceremony was held at the Cooperative Institute in Polgola today. The ceremony was held under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
The ceremony was organized by the Sri Lanka Scout Association. Scouts and Girl Guides representing all provinces of the country were present at the event. 1,195 eligible students were received awards. The website for the Scouts movement was also launched by the head of state. The president was presented with a special award by the Sri Lanka Scout Association. President Sirisena was also honoured by the principal of Dharmaraja College Kandy for the support rendered to Dharmaraja College in hiking the K2 mountain in Nepal.
When I was a scout like you back then, we had different social issues. Today, it is a different world. School children have to face different challenges. Everything has changed today. Today, in this competitive world, we have to face bad things and indecent things. We have to manage a decent life in this world. Just as you pass your examinations well, you have to learn to pass life challenges that you come across.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe held talks with his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi in New Delhi on a range of issues related to bilateral ties, including the progress of India-assisted development projects in the island nation.
Talks at the Hyderabad House came on the third and final day of the Sri Lankan Prime Minister's India visit. During the visit, the two sides reviewed the status of the India-assisted housing projects in Jaffna. They were also expected to deliberate on the Tamil issue, the reconciliation process and devolution of powers in the Tamil-dominated areas. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe also met Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj separately today. The Premier discussed with Rajnath Singh issues related to security and anti-terror cooperation between India and Sri Lanka. Singh tweeted after the meeting saying, quote, "Had a fruitful meeting with the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, in New Delhi today. We had deliberations on further strengthening cooperation between India and Sri Lanka on issues pertaining to security and terrorism in the region," unquote. During the 30-minute meeting, both the leaders talked about further strengthening of India-Sri Lanka relations.
UPFA MP Chandama Virakodi convened a media briefing in Galle today. The policies of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party are implemented to protect the country. These terms are formed for the benefit of the people. Ranil Wickremesinghe's policies are harmful policies. He does not care for the country and does not love the country. Ranil Wickremesinghe says in the cabinet the East Terminal is being sold to India. I do not know what kind of promises Ranil Wickremesinghe will give to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. China was angry because of this situation. Today India is not in good terms with us because of our short-sighted leadership. I think that Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying his best to create a conflict between Sri Lanka and India. Attending a UNP public meeting in Bandaragama, State Minister of Power and Renewable Energy Ajit P. Pereira made the following remarks.
Vimal Veerawansa filed a case against the one and only Lady Chief Justice that was appointed, and then he put it to the committee. She was forcefully removed from the Chief Justice office and the procedure was illegal. They appointed judges as they wanted. Judgments were written at the President's house and then handed over to the courts. They controlled the Attorney General's department from the Presidential Secretariat. Police lost their independence. Mahinda, who did such things now, tell us that the judicial independence has been established now. We thank you for that. Now we can trust judicial independence. Now what should be done is to carry out other cases that are filed against Johnston. One of them is the case for plotting an assassination of Mahinda Rajapaksa with the LTTE. That along with the other cases must be taken up and expedited.
UNP MP Mujibur Rahman convened a media briefing to comment on a statement made by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa regarding the removal of former Chief Justice Shirani Bandaranaike.
Former Chief Justice Shirani Bandaranaike was removed due to court rulings given against former President's government. We all know how court cases were conducted during Mahinda Rajapaksa's government. We know how Sarath Fonseca faced injustice. And that is why we say the case against Johnston and others should commence soon.
Anekut nadu ikmanata ahanna.
He is furious and he is so much anger. He is conveying the message that we should protect the government.
Two Dagamana projects under the Samata Savana housing project were declared open by Minister of Housing and Construction and the Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Sajith Premadasa, today.
The villages built in Manmune in northern Batikla were named as Supitcham Nagar and Viludha Nagar. This is the 141st and 142nd mod village built under this project. Rupees 36.9 million have been spent to construct 43 houses. The minister presented land deeds and 43 ownership deeds of development lands worth rupees 107.5 million. Around 250 families were given housing loans worth 125 million rupees. Visiri housing loans and self-employment equipment and spectacles were also distributed by the minister.
Former leaders of the country who rejected the people are engaged in activities by pretending like they care about the people. They convene multiple media briefings. They have now created a culture of assassination conspiracies. The people of this country will decide if their political journey is going to be successful or not.
State Minister of Foreign Affairs Wasantha Senanayake convened a media briefing in Colombo today.
A majority in the party expressed that we should keep it as it is and make it more stronger, and this will be all right after some time. What I said was what the majority thought. If that is the opinion of the majority, I shall respect their opinion and stay silent. I respect their opinion and I am keeping quiet. Because when it's only me who talks, what happened to the tortoise will happen to me. The United National Party is a very strong party. So there are people who are more senior to me who have faced a number of elections. If everyone agrees to the current standard and if they find it good, I won't object to it. But if everyone comes together as a party to discuss this, I will also join them. I'm not disappointed about the party. I'm disappointed about the country. Where is the country heading? There are many issues in the government. I'm not saying the government is unsuccessful, but I don't see the country moving in the right direction.
3 individuals were injured in shootouts that took place in Colombo and Mathura today.
An individual was injured in a shooting that took place at the road opposite the Maligawata Jumma Masjid Mosque. Police said that 2 shooters who had come on a motorbike in the evening fled the scene. The injured has been admitted to the General Hospital and is treated at the intensive care unit. The 24-year-old is a resident of Maligawata. The police further stated that the injured is known associate of Underworld gang leader Baya. This individual was previously shot and injured on the 30th morning in Maligavatta and had been admitted to the General Hospital, and later he was discharged. Meanwhile, 2 others have been injured in a shooting that took place at the Rotumu Rural Bank in Mathura this afternoon. Police said that the shooters, who had come on a motorbike at around 12:45 this afternoon wearing helmets, fled the scene. Victims were near the bank and one of them were a trader in the area. The injured were admitted to the Mavanalla hospital and later transferred to Mathura and Kamburupiti hospitals. The Mavanalla police have commenced investigations into the incident.
We are now joined by Azra Zan on Weather First.
A very good evening to all our viewers. You're joining me, Azra Zan, on Weather First. Let's now take a look at the weather forecast for the next week. Now, a rainy weather condition can prevail in the areas surrounding South India and in Sri Lanka. Also, in most parts of Sri Lanka, areas will experience showers or thunder showers during the evening hours. Now, this prevailing weather condition will continue until the 27th of this month, according to international media reports. Now, the reports warn that a flood situation will also occur in areas in Kerala and Tamil Nadu.
A new World Bank report said that Sri Lanka's industrial production barely grew in the second quarter of 2018, with exports contributing little to growth and recent import tariff hikes counterproductive to increasing competitiveness.
In its South Asia Economic Focus report, the bank said growth is strong in South Asia but not driven by exports or manufacturing. In India and Sri Lanka, the contribution of investment is projected to be relatively more important in 2018. But even there, the World Bank said the main driver remains domestic consumption. According to the report, industrial production in South Asia is holding well, but it grows slower than GDP in most countries. South Asia's industrial production grew by only 5.4% in the second quarter of 2018, slightly lower than a quarter before. In India, it grew by 5%, in Pakistan by 4.5%, and in Sri Lanka by only 0.6%.
It is not at all satisfactory. The economic measures have been taken by the government because we have been continuously spending lavishly. That pressure is coming from the IMF to tighten the fiscal policy and the monetary situation in Sri Lanka. It is because of the government's inaction and the unnecessary action this pressure is coming towards the government, and it is indeed sad because our exports are declining as a percentage of GDP every year.
The international perspective. As one of the world's leading international finance centers, Hong Kong's service-oriented economy is categorized by its low taxation, almost free port trade, and well-established international financial market. Interest rates are determined by the individual banks in Hong Kong to ensure they are market-driven. There is no officially recognized central banking system, although the Hong Kong Monetary Authority functions as a financial regulatory authority. Its economy is governed under positive non-interventionism and is highly dependent on international trade and finance. For this reason, it is regarded as among the most favorable places to start a company. Hong Kong's economic strengths include a sound banking system, virtually no public debt, a strong legal system, ample foreign exchange reserves, and rigorous anti-corruption measures. Hong Kong is the 33rd largest export economy in the world.
And now in sports news, England won the 4th ODI against Sri Lanka today by 18 runs according to the Duckworth-Lewis method. Thereby, England have won the 5-match ODI series 3-0. And with that, we wrap our primetime news for tonight. Do join us again tomorrow with the very latest. Take care and good night.